here. Thanks for doing this.
Sure.
So, first of all, how did the meeting go today?
I think it went well. I think that those of us on the county side shared some of the concerns that we have and the data that we're seeing. The city partners and DPS partners were open to listen to those concerns. And it seems to have resulted in a process that we will continue to meet and see how they can address the many concerns that we shared with them.
So going forward, y'all are going to keep the conversation going, essentially, and try to figure out how best to deploy them in a way that is good for public safety, but also is not disproportionate to minority communities, right?
Absolutely. I think we all agree that we want to live in a safe community and we need to address violent crime. It's an issue that my office has prioritized, for as long as I've been in this office. And I think that we can move forward in a way that I hope does not have the consequences, the collateral, and hopefully unintentional results that we're seeing.
What does that look like in your mind, or do you know yet, or do you think that's something that you all need to, as a group, brainstorm and figure out together?
Well, I think that, while it may be premature, I think some options would be, if this is purely about targeting violent crime and traffic fatalities and trying to make sure that our streets are safe, I think it's important that if people are getting, pulled over, they're getting pulled over for actual traffic, by moving violations. What we've seen is it's not necessarily moving violations or traffic violations. It's very, very minor things like expired registrations. And so I think a change in direction on how the patrol is happening, concentrating on the dangerous corridors that we know of. For example, I know that Slaughter Lane has long been a dangerous corridor, and we're not seeing the patrol happening there. So it's just that we want to make sure that the goals that we're setting are actually matching what we're seeing, the patrol that we're seeing. And I think that's maybe where there's room for law enforcement to change how and where they're patrolling and what the priorities are.
Let me ask you this. When you saw those numbers, that basically 1 in 10 of their arrests on misdemeanor charges handled by your office are of Black and brown people in a community that is less than half minority, what was your reaction to that?
I think you said 1 in 10, but I think you meant 9 in 10.
9 in 10, yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. We haven't had a lot of conversations with the city, so we weren't sure exactly what the operation was. But when I started to review some of the arrests coming in and just started to see a trend that many of the surnames were Hispanic surnames, I thought that this is the direction that the operation was likely going in. And then after we actually, pulled the data and did the math, and just hearing anecdotally from community members in particularly, Southeast, Central East, and Northeast Austin, hearing anecdotally about seeing a bigger presence, I unfortunately wasn't surprised, but incredibly concerned, just because so many of us have worked really hard on building community trust, and we want communities of color to trust law enforcement, to trust everybody, and so it's always concerning when you see some kind of operation affecting certain communities more disproportionately than other communities.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Delia, for doing this for us. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
No, that's great. I know I wanted to keep it brief, and I know you've got stuff. So thanks again.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.